where we stopped last time. I think what we have been doing is trying to familiarize ourselves with some of the basic Bootstrap element classes, right? And I told us that there are so many of them, of which we cannot start looking at one after the other to the end. And I also emphasize on you continue to study them at Bootstrap what documentation, that is library. So we're looking at the full project implementation of Bootstrap. Let's assume that we want to start developing a real website using Bootstrap. Please, are you with us? Now, the first thing is for you to install your Bootstrap in your project, either using the offline method or using the CDN, right? And advise that you should use the CDN. Maybe if you are economizing data, you can use the offline. Maybe after the entire development, you redirect it to what? To the CDN, so that you can get subsequent what? Updates. Now, when we started looking at the manual web development, somebody could remember, we started with understanding the HTML elements, right? And the CSS properties before we sat down to see how we can use them to form the website. And when we started developing the real website, there was a particular web element that we started with. Can anybody remind me? Can anybody remind me? If you are to start a project, what part of your website are you expected to start your design from? Yeah? The what? The nav bar, right? Then followed by what? The body, right? Followed by what? The footer. So that is the order we are going to go now. So I'm going to start with what I want to start with Bootstrap what? Navbar design, right? Bootstrap Navbar design. So I want to see how we can conclude the Navbar and, if possible, talk about Bootstrap card. I don't know if we have discussed Bootstrap card. I don't think so. We have discussed that, right? Yes or no? No, good. Let's start with the definition. What is Bootstrap Navbar? Same thing as what? Responsive what? Navbar, right? Because the entire purpose of using Bootstrap is to make our website what? Mobile what? Responsive. So if we want, if the term is confusing us, we can as well say what? Responsive what? Navbar. So let's define it. A Bootstrap navbar is a responsive navigation bar. A Bootstrap navbar is a responsive navigation bar that can be easily customized. Underline the word that can be easily customized. That can be easily customized. Are we together? To fit your website design. That can be easily customized to fit your website design. To fit your website what? Design. Are we together? To fit your website what? Design. Now, how did we even define navbar as one of the elements of a website? In fact, the very first part, the top part of what? Your website in most cases. Remember then, we described navigation bar as the topmost section of a website that constitutes what? Navigation what? Links. What is navigation? This is one of the way we make our website users what? Friendly. By giving them access certain keyword links that they can easily access at the top of our website for them to know how to walk around the website. That is the meaning of what? Navigation. So for your web user to navigate from one page to another, there has to be a bar that constitutes the keyword links. Though we can still have other links outside the what? The navbar. But what are the key links that are expected to be in your navbar? What are the key links? The key links are what? The home link, right? The about us, the contact us, and product depending, right? So now let's quickly look at some of the navbar components. Now, this component makes up what? Bootstrap what? Navbar. Right, somebody. Bootstrap Navbar components. Now, some of these components will form the classes. Classes. Remember that what we are actually learning is not as if this is our first time of designing what? The navbar. We are only creating a navbar that uses what? Bootstrap what? Classes, right? So that it can automatically inherit what? CSS properties and some of the JavaScript what? Function. So the very first component we want to look at is, let me use comment, Bootstrap what? Navbar, right? Navbar components. So number one we want to talk about is brand name. Brand name. So what is the brand name represents when you see it in your Bootstrap what? Navigation bar? The brand name or logo. The brand name or logo of your website. So in Bootstrap, we have what we call what? The brand name, which means what? Your logo. Now, number two, Bootstrap Navbar component is Navbar toggler, because you are going to see classes bearing all this. That is why I just want us to understand it. Navbar toggler. Navbar toggler. Navbar toggler is a button that toggles the navbar on a small screen. Is a button that toggles the navbar on a small screen. I believe you must have seen it. Most time it is called what? Hamburger, right? A kind of lines like this. You have like, let me just create another one, something like this. So when the website is opened on a small device like phone, all those home that will have been listed on laptop horizontally, home, about us, will now be folded into what? This toggler or hamburger. Now, which means that it enables us to, have I defined it? I said it's a button that toggles the navbar on small what? Device. So it's used to control the navbar. You know that on a laptop view, the navbar will display horizontally, right? Once it comes on phone, the toggler will make it to display what? Vertically. All right. So that is the idea. So there is a component called the toggler. Now let's look at the next component, which is called Navbar collapse. That is the third one. We are still on Bootstrap Navbar component. Navbar what? Collapse. Navbar collapse. So what is the role of this? Right. A container that holds the navbar. A container that holds the navbar. A container that holds the navbar. Contents. It is called what? Navbar what? Collapse. Now the next component is with that person. The next component is navbar nav. We have another component called navbar. Navbar what? Nav. That holds the content. That holds the navbar content. That is navbar collapse, right? A container that holds the navbar content. It is called navbar collapse. So the next one is the navbar nav. A list of navigation link. A list of navigation link. So which means that the element that is going to hold directly all those links that you are populating within your navbar will be what? Wrapped in what? An element with a class name called what? Navbar what? Nav. I said a list of navigation links. Simple as that. Navbar nav is a list of what? Navigation link. So the next one is drop down menu. That is another component of Bootstrap what? Navbar. And what is this for? Right, a drop down menu that can be used for additional navigation options. The drop down menu that can be used for additional navbar navigation options. So of course, the last one, but not the least, a navbar a drop down menu that can be used for additional navigation options. So the next one is search. Is search what? Form. The search form. A search form that can be added to the navigation bar. The search form that can be added to what? Navigation bar. So these are the key elements of what? Bootstrap what? Navbar. So any web developer that uses Bootstrap to build responsive website, he or she is experienced to be familiar with what? These components. That is, when you are dealing with Navbar, there is every possibility you work with what? All these elements. So quickly, let's look at Navbar classes. Navbar classes. So when you are developing your Navbar, what are the classes? Navbar what? Classes. Now we already know what classes are, right? Classes are attributes, right? That provide what? Provide what? Unique what? Name about what? The HTML element. And as I have taught us before now, that in Bootstrap, we use the classes to fetch or to access what? The predefined functions and what? Scripts or style. Now, the first class is navbar, and I'm going to be explaining their primary role. So when you create an element, being it a div, and you class it in Bootstrap, navbar, what is that class helping you to achieve? Right, the base class, underline that word base. I've explained that before, but I will still explain it. the base class for the Navbar. Now, anytime the word base is used to associate with Bootstrap class, it means that what? Can anybody try? When you say what? Bootstrap base class, what does that mean? That is the one that carry what? The responsiveness. The one that carry what? The media query. Just like when we were dealing with a button color, we have BTN before we had what? BTN, I think what? Primary. So which one is the base class there? BTN. So if you remove that BTN and say what? BTN primary, it's not going to work. And even if it manage to work, that element is not going to be what? Responsive, because you have removed the key class that carries what? The media query. So the next one is navbar hyphen expand hyphen LG. You know, there are some of the things that you should have known by now. That LG, what do you think it represents? Large. Now, what exactly are you saying on that part? What are you telling Bootstrap or the browser? That this navbar is compatible with what? Large screen what? You are specifying a particular device, right? How it can display. Let's look at the definition. The navbar expand LG expands the navbar on a large what? Screen. Expand the navbar on a large screen. So that is the configuration of that class. Now, the third class is navbar hyphen lights. Navbar hyphen lights. What will this achieve? Right, a light colored navbar. That is color now, just like the way we were saying the primary, right? So when you are working with navigation bar, when you give an element what? Navbar hyphen light, a light colored navbar. Then we have another class, which is navbar hyphen dark. We have navbar hyphen what? Dark. What color is that? Right, a dark what? Color, like black. A dark color navbar. Then another Bootstrap navbar class is the BG hyphen light. So this is one of the Bootstrap navbar what? Class. And what does this do? Right, a light color background. That BG represents what? Background, not the content color. Background. Now we also have BG hyphen dark. What would that be? A dark color what? Background. Let's write all of them. BG hyphen dark. All right, so these are some of the Bootstrap what? Navigation bar what? Classes. There might be other ones that you can deepen your research on. Like I told us, the Bootstrap has a very large library, right? That's you cannot actually know all of them at once, but just be sure that what? Those elements that you use in building your website, those key elements like form, page one, table, all those, make sure you are familiar with what? They are Bootstrap what? Classes. Then gradually you can now begin to what? Add more research to know other things that may not be necessary in most situations. So now let's quickly, from what I have taught us so far, we are going to go straight to Bootstrap what? Library to harvest the what? The number. And then you now see these classes, these elements that I've already mentioned. So if you are to handle a project, now look up, now that we have discussed all this, if you are to create Maybe you start a web development project for a client. It could be e-commerce site. It could be educational website, any type of website. So long you want that website to be compatible with Bootstrap standard, right? The first thing is for you to what? Add the CSS CDN link, and also add the JavaScript Bootstrap CDN link, and make sure that you are on the internet. Your computer should be connected to the internet. So once we have done that, I want to start with the Navbar. So I will go straight to the browser. Write your steps now, how we are implementing the Navbar. The first step is to add the Bootstrap CDN link to your project. Add Bootstrap CDN link to your project. That is both the one of CSS and the one of JavaScript. So once we have achieved that, the next step is for you to visit Bootstrap library, Bootstrap 5.0. That is the one we are using. Okay. Now, once you type it, you go to the website, and then from there, we are going to harvest or extract the component. Now, this is how it works. Look up. So we are here now. Now, there is a section called components. If you go down, you will see components, right? So most of our website development features, they are under component. Once you open it up, you see all this, they are what you can use to put your website together. Now, where are we going to? Navbar and tab. There are different tabs of Navbar. It is not left for you to know which standard do you want to go with, right? So let me say I want to work with, out of the available type, I have Navbar with tabs. I have ordinary Navbar. So I can just take a look, like I told us before, that in Bootstrap is a library that has so much documentation that you can stay with and understand. So once you click on any of the elements, then you'll be able to get the documentation about that element. And what does this? What is Navbar? What is navs and tabs? Documentation and example for how to use Bootstrap included navigation. Now, base nav navigation available in Bootstrap share general markup and style. That is the HTML and now the CSS from the base. That is where you use the class, which I have explained. Remember, there was a class I say now. Now, if you go down, you see the example, because they told us that both the markup and the style, which is CSS, are already here. So this is a very simple now. Now, the best way you master this is to start from the simple ones. So which means that if I don't want to, because this is project now, please, this is, you are handling customer project. Of a truth, the customer does not, it's none of their business to know whether you are manually writing description. And nobody will be able to question you that why did you come here? You know what customer wants? Results. So what I will do as a developer that wants to save my time, I will just copy this. Now that I understand the this Navbar. Now I can go and check the class name, because remember that I've only highlighted the base classes, the minor ones. And what you can see here, we have for LI. LI. That is for what? For link, right? Sorry, for listing anchor tag, right? The LI class for Bootstrap is nav underscore item. You can see it now. That item, sorry, nav item, and then we have nav underscore nav hyphen link. That one is for the anchor tag. Why for the list that is holding the anchor tag? What is the Bootstrap class name? Nav item. It's just for you to understand this. So the time will come, due to your familiarity, that you may not need to come here and copy. You can just open a div. You already know that the base class is nav. Then once you create link inside, you know that Bootstrap class name for for list is what? Nav-item. So that is the best way you can practice. So now if I go back to my page and then paste what I copied there and then check the front end, you will now see that we have what? A navigation bar. And this navigation bar is responsive. So let's check the responsiveness of this. I'll just simply what? Right click. Go to what? Inspect. So check how it's going to display across what? Different devices. But it is not collapsing because this one is a very simple one. And most of the classes I give to us, those classes will be found in what? Standard what? Bootstrap what? Navbar, not the basic. So now if you go down, you will see the one that have what? Toggle, collapse. That is why as I contrasted the website to mobile site, I wasn't having the hamburger because that class have not been added. So if I go down now, we are looking at where we'll start having it. So this is another one. You see the what? The user interface before. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. These are different types. You know, this one is you can start seeing the toggle here, but this one is you can see the drop down. Talk about that class as well, right? Drop down. So this one is the one that will have drop down. So if I copy it, so all you need to do is just to go there and search for the one you want. And then once you have gotten the one you want, you can see that this one have what? Drop. Now, let me just take you through how you can modify some of these things. Because the website you are working with may not want you to use this as a link action. It may be, here should be what? Oh, here should be about us. So how do you modify this? That is why your manual knowledge is very important. So if you have not done manual web coding before coming here, it will be difficult for you to know how to reconstruct some of these things. Remember when we start, I say what? You can customize the number, right? Which means that you can twist it to something else. So now I'll go to where those links were mentioned, right? Now the URL, so let's say this very one is for about, let's say home. Let's say this one is home. Now I must have created a file or what? Home, sorry, index.what? HTML, right? So I will now supply what? The URL, the target. So you can see the way I know where to change things because I've done the manual what? Coding. If not, I would have been wondering what is hash for. So now I can say, okay, this one should target what? Index.what? HTML. Then here is for what? About us. So you can see that within few days, you must have finished the entire front end. So about, so this page is here to be created. .ht. Then maybe this one is contact us, contact, and then contact.what? HTML. Then here is contact. Now, this particular Navbar came with what? How many links? 1, 2, 3, right? Meanwhile, my website has about 6. So what do? I will just copy the whole of what? This line, Control C, and then come here and what? Paste. That is how you keep expanding in as much you are using the same class. So let's say this one is for services. Services, and then here changes to service. So all these are pages you are here to create. I'll come here and paste again. So this one is for gallery, where I'm going to showcase all the work done. So if I go back to the front end, you can see that what you have edited all of it. But they shouldn't see this drop down.
change this drop down to what? Maybe this should be like service normally. Service, then you now list what? Sub what? Services. So what do you think we can put here now? Since we are not supposed to put home here, because home will have been on its own. About us will have been on its own, which means that we are going to remove them. Now, this is where you have, look up, this is the category where you have the link that are not in the dropdown. So what you will do is that you have the first one already, and that first one is named what? Active. So I will just change it to what? To home. Are you getting it? And then reference the home what? URL, which is what? The index dot. And then I will now copy this whole link. But if you look at this link is inside what? The LI. So it's not just the A. You copy the whole of LI, because if you look at the structure, each of the anchor tags, they are wrapped in what? In LI, right? So we take it that way, Control C, and then I'll come here and paste, and then change this to maybe about us. Then also change the reference page to about dot what? HTML. So let's go to the front end and check so you can see it now. You said? Okay, I put 2 dots. Okay. Yes, sorry. So what I'm showing us now is how, now we talk about background, one of the Bootstrap class for background color. So which of them is acting as a container that we can change its background color? Here. Which of them is acting as container? You have questions, sir? Okay, go ahead.
This that first is it still inside this place?
No, I've deleted that one now. Yes. I've deleted it. I just got a more complex one. So now we talk about background. Now, if you look at this, the very first container that is holding all the navigation link is called what? UL, right? So if I come here now, look up this. If I come here and say BG what? BG what? Dark. What is that going to give to me? You see the way I'm not customizing. Why is it not affecting this? Let's check. Our structure is somehow wrong here, except we want this type to be like this. But I would have loved that this background touches what? Everything, right? So let's go and check that place we copy. It's like a structure we copy. We are not supposed to take it out. We're supposed to wrap all the anchor tag inside. Where is it here? Here. So for example, if I take this one, let me delete, this was the one I pasted, Abby. It was just one that I copied and pasted, right? So let me just delete it and see what I get first. Okay, I think it's a style. Let me see. Yeah, it's active. Yes, it's active. So it has a different style. In order for people to know that once you get here, you know what the particular link or the page you are. Go. Yeah? No. It's fixed. It's fixed. Yes. And that over now is because of what? Where is the home now? Because of this class. So if I remove this class now, that is what is making it look like that. You see the logic now. Is that class that is giving it that effect. So I don't want it to be active. I want it to be like this. So, but what am I doing now? I just captured this from Bootstrap and I am what? Customizing it in a way that the next time even the Bootstrap sees it, you don't even know that I got it from it library. So let's check the responsiveness again. Let me start reducing from here. So no toggle yet. No hamburger yet. This very one. No toggle yet. So which means that what? Even on the mobile device, they will still be seeing what? All the what? The link. So now, this one is the one in charge of what? This is what you do. If you are learning on your own, maybe where you get to, you want to know what role each of these classes are playing. You saw the way I removed that active and I noticed the difference. Then that is how you develop your knowledge. Now, if I want to know the role this nav link is playing, now you take note of the current appearance, delete it for now, and then go back. What role is it playing? The alignment. So the particular CSS property to make it what? I said, what is it called? In terms of manual, we use what? Align item, right? Align item center. That is what the property is in that particular class that you just removed. So once I bring it back and then I go back, you see that what everything is in order. Now, if I want to change the text color, which of the class do you think is in charge of it? Look at the current color now. Look at the current color. Are we saying that this color is default? So Bootstrap have styled it, right? Now, let's say I want the color. Maybe after you have changed the background, you now discover that the color of the text of the link are no longer what? Okay. How do you change it? If there is no class, remember I told you that you can do what? You can use what? Inline. Because the order is that CSS will always respect inline styling before what? Internal, before what? External. We establish all this, right? So where I'm having issue with locating the Bootstrap class name for the color, I will just say, okay, let me just use what? Inline. After all, inline will make Bootstrap to suspend what? Its own and use this one. So I will just say what? Color. So, but there are some cases whereby it will stick to its own. So if I come here now and I check now, you see that what? I've been able to what? To change it, which means that what? It will base my own. But because the truth of it is that you must know how to change all this, because the company color may not be what? Blue. You must find a way of aligning everything to what? To the company what? Color. That is why you must know how to switch these particular classes to get what you want. All right, so now you go back to the library, just to check more, Now remember that all these ones, they are under what? Nav and what? Nav and tabs, right? Let's go and check another one. Was it nav and tab that we selected or just nav? Nav and tab. So let's go to nav. So now you have it documentation that you can also go through. And then under here, you can see that those ones that are explained, those classes, they are under what? Nav. You can see most of them here. Look at this here. Navbar what? Toggler. Right? Now, let's pick an example. Good. This is a perfect example of the one I use to explain the classes. You know, that one carry what? Search. Right? So if I capture this now, and I go back to my page, take up this. So if I go back to the front end, you see it. Now let's check the responsiveness. Let's check the responsiveness of this. Can you see hamburger? Can you see the tumbler? The button. So when you click here, before it will bring out this. So professional websites should go like this, not that basic. But there are some persons that prefer that tab, nav and tab, depending on the one you are designing. So now you will now go and deal with the classes for you to be able to change it. Now look at the class that I mentioned. If I want to change the color, now from my initial explanation, you already know where to tamper with the background color. What is the current background color of the Navbar? Something light, right? If I want it to be red, do we have, what will I put here? Let me know whether I will have a creative person here. Danger. So I will change the light to what? Danger, right? Okay, don't worry, I'm following you. Perfect, perfect. So you can see it now. Good. So you can manipulate. All you need to do, like I advised you before, go and spend time understanding what. If it is fun, understand all the Bootstrap what classes for fun. If it is stable, that is the best way you can do better in Bootstrap. So just like the way we are learning all these classes now, because we are dealing with what? Navbar. Once we get to CAD now, we have another set of what? Classes. So any element you are designing, go and understand the classes that can help you to what? To manipulate it. Yes, inside component, but the last type of what? Navbar. Remember that what? Under component, you were given what? Two different types of navbar. One is what? Navs and tabs. The other one is what? Navbar. I think the main one is what? The navbar. When you are creating all those simple websites, you can use what? The nav and tabs. Okay, so it is now left for you to start to sit down and start changing the URL. I have a question. Yeah, where is the logo now? Where is it? We have logo here. Is there no logo here? Look at it now. Brand, Navbar what? Brand. So this is what they use as their logo. As a manual web developer, how do you bring in your image logo? Let me know whether you know what to do. You remove this, right? And put what? Image. Remember that you will not go to Bootstrap image classes. Where to be responsive. You don't know. You cannot just call ordinary image now because this is Bootstrap. So once you call any element, you put its own base what? Class name, if at all, so that it will be responsive. What is the image base class name? Start opening their notes. Oh yeah, when I say assignment, but you say no, and research. Oh yeah, find out for me. Don't worry, let me allow you to read from the class. What is the image base class name of Bootstrap? You don't know itself. Oh yeah, go to ChatGPT. Oh yeah, everybody asks. You must know how to research. You must know how to research. It's part of it. So if you are building a web, see, the truth is that if you are building a website now, maybe you use an element, maybe like a form, and you are like, oh, I don't know Bootstrap was form class. Just ask. As soon as you ask, you get it. You put it. Tech these days is, in fact, 80% is AI. 80% is AI. And the more you are using this AI, you're also learning from the AI. Because once you use it once, the next project, will you consult AI again? No. What is the base name? Image what? Fluid, right? So you are. That is that's the first one. You put it. So which means that what? Once you add it here, so which means that you just simply come here and say what? Class. So that this one too can get its own national cake now. All of them, they are just getting national cake. You cannot add it without giving it. So you now say, okay, image what? That is img hyphen what? News. That is all. So that the image. So you call your picture. You already know I have to show you that one. Call your picture. Just put it here and then call one of the pictures. So if I go to so you can see that the image. Now, Bootstrap class to resize image. Don't open your note to resize the image width. Oh yeah. Bootstrap class name to resize this picture. It's too big now. Oh yeah, now let's go there. Bootstrap. Oh God, don't open your note. Bootstrap class name to resize. Okay, I want to resize it to what? 25% width. What will I do? 25% width. I'll space Abby W hyphen what? 25. Am I not going to add the percentage sign? I should add it, Abby? Yes, thank you very much. Which kind of percent? Do you add it to it? You don't. Hey, yeah, which class? Bootstrap.
For sure, can see this text, I can see design text and see.
Yes, you don't have issue. You see the difference between you that have done manual here before Bootstrap is that you can change things. You can decide to say, okay, that particular logo, you want to use your manual skill to design it within Bootstrap responsive word container. Now, Bootstrap class name to make this image perfect cycle. Oh yeah, quickly. Height there. Bootstrap class name to make this image cycle. Rounded cycle. Okay, it's not it. Just rounded. You guys will sit down here and be waiting. This man is not coming out from that place. Rounded what? To make it, you are already typing. Guy, I got no time. Rounded cycle, are we? Yes. Rounded, I be what?
No, rounded cycle, just rounded cycle. No, I can do.
Okay, don't worry. We will see the outcome of that. Perfect. Now, if I want to use auto, what will I do?
With auto.
Yes, with auto.
With auto.
MS what?
Okay.
Now, wow. You supposed to be reading now, this guy. You thought I was just playing with all those. Okay, the Navbar now. Okay, look at it now. You ask for Bootstrap Navbar. Bootstrap give you Navbar, but it does not give you the image. So you see the reason why you have to know MS what? IP what? Auto now, or at worst, you fall back to what? Custom. You put your inline, width, and what? Height, border, radius. 50%. Chicken now, that is if you don't want to, right? Simple as that. Okay. PNG. PNG is an image format now. Where you have JPEG. It's the same thing now. Once you put PNG image in that folder, once you press your slash, what to call it, it will call it with its own word, PNG. It's none of your business. Am I the one that typed JPG? As I call the image, it recognizes the word, the format. If you did not answer your question, so I ask ChatGPT. Teachers of those days, they suffer. Our era now, but anything now, students are even helping teachers. All right, so now, so you can go on and change any section that you want to change. There are JavaScript function here. Where you see this hash, this is coming from JavaScript. It's not only CSS that is making this navigation bar to be responsive. This is an ID that JavaScript uses to add its own word function. If you want to check all these things, just remove them. Remove that attribute, like I told you. I go and check the behavior. Are we together? The assignment is to design 4 different Bootstrap navigation bars. 4 different Bootstrap navigation bars. See, yeah, of course. Now, either you are telling me that you don't call, so that the assignment will not chase you. Okay. Huh? Yes, it's in there. Yeah, yes. This one here. These ones, you are not touching this one. These ones they are already configured with JavaScript. It's a search box now, so you can search for a product. Are you following? No, this one is the button. You type in there, you click that place to search. You type inside, then you click. That is the button that. Then you go and get the manual code. You remove that Bootstrap class. Yes. That is where, see, even though you are working with Bootstrap, there are times that you still do some things that are different from Bootstrap. So manual things in between. It's very important. Any question? See us.